good morning, fans, and welcome to the Midwest Donut Review Show. I'm Dave Leggett in St. Louis, Missouri. That is my son, Eric Leggett, in Sacramento, California. And we are here, Eric, at show number 24. Anybody who's been following along, you get 24.
Oh, I didn't even make that connection. I didn't even think about that.
And we have certainly had more than 24 donuts for our show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the thing we talk about when we're not doing the podcast off air, I guess, is the other kinds of donuts that we eat and buy that don't make it to the show review.
Yeah. Most of the time with you, they're pretty extravagant. Like, I will say, I get a little frustrated sometimes because you get your donuts before I do. And sometimes when we don't get the same ones, you'll text me what ones you got and see if I can have them. And like the shit you texted me this morning, like chocolate glaze with strawberry cream cheese frosting. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? You think I'm going to be able to just pick that one up?
You didn't have those at your donut shop?
No.
I honestly believe it's for Valentine's Day. The chocolate and the pink, I think,
Maybe.
is why.
But you pick up red velvet pretty consistently, and I've never once seen a red velvet donut here.
What?
Genuinely.
Wow. They are such a fabulously different cake donut. I'm surprised nobody's picked up, especially Sacramento being such a beacon for donuts.
I don't know.
All right, well, we need more Sacramento viewers.
You're like, well, I can't find a chocolate iced. I guess I'll pick up the glazed twist with 6 different kinds of fruit frosting. That'll be the same.
Just throwing it out there, man. Just throwing it out there. So if you are new to the show, welcome. Here's what we do. I buy 3 donuts here in St. Louis, always including a glazed donut. You've got to be able to do a glazed donut well to branch out. Mm-hmm. Eric tries to buy the same 3 donuts. We will measure them. We will taste them. We will price them and let you know if you go to that donut place, that's what you need to order. Or sometimes the 3 we've had, don't order them.
Yeah.
I mean, a bad donut is still okay, but...
Yeah, but worst comes to worst. There's a lot of donut shops out there. If the 3 we get aren't great, maybe you should skip
maybe
that
the
one.
other ones aren't great also. But anyway, we're here. We got the positive vibes going today. I think we're going to have some good donuts this morning. As we normally open our show now, Eric gives us donut news of the week. What did you find crazy strange today?
Well, donut news this week was kind of tough because every time I would look for it, it was just flooded with the FDA recall of a bunch of donuts.
I was wondering if you were going to mention that.
Every single news article
of an FDA recall at a mom and pop donut shop.
No, that's the thing. It wasn't mom and pop donuts.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I've never heard of it.
Donuts for grocery stores and Dunkin', of course, because Dunkin' fucking sucks.
The downside of having somebody else make your donuts, man.
Exactly. It's just another reason to go to mom and pop shops for donuts.
Yeah.
Those will never get recalled. Another thing I found, this isn't enough for a full story, but some woman stole a Krispy Kreme truck, and while she was driving away, the thing opened. And so while she was driving, just boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts just flying out, scattered across the highway.
Here's the part they don't tell you. The ones on the highway taste the same as the ones in the store.
Yep. And you know what? And the worst part is they're going to be charged the exact same amount. You'll get home, and when you throw away the box that you put down and you throw it in the trash can, you'll see skid marks at the bottom of the box. You're like, oh, I wonder what that is. That's weird.
Here's what's bizarre. Everything in the whole wide world gets recorded. I can't believe there's not video of Krispy Kreme boxes flying out of a truck.
There's no video of it happening, unfortunately. But there's video of her taking the truck, and then there's cop video of him like walking along and just boxes of Krispy Kreme donuts just
Is he
scattered
stopping
around
to
him.
eat any of them?
He debated it. He picked it up. He's like, they do look delicious, though. Because it's Krispy
Now,
Kreme.
talk about the ultimate losing of a bet. You got to steal a Krispy Kreme truck. Maybe she bet on the Chiefs.
Yeah. I don't think she had to steal the Krispy Kreme truck. There were probably better options out there.
I mean, what's the ultimate goal there? You gonna crack open the back door and sell them on a corner where there's no Krispy Kreme within 100 feet of you?
I think there was a car. They needed a car, and it just so happened that the easiest one to steal at that time was a Krispy Kreme delivery truck.
Somebody's got to say that was a sweet ride. Or nobody has to say it.
Yeah, I'd say I prefer nobody. I think.
We will move on.
But
all right. So
in other donut news, this is my personal donut news.
Oh.
I would like to bring up this beautiful app that I learned about. I had for a little bit, lost it, and then I was told from you about it, about Too Good To Go.
Yes.
My donut story is last week. I believe it was Saturday. I was like, you know what? I'm kind of jonesing for some donuts because we didn't do a show last week. We're too busy. So I got on this wonderful app called Too Good To Go, where the premise is it's mostly bakeries. There are some, other like restaurants and stuff, but when they're about to close and they have all this leftover product, they put it on Too Good To Go. So you get, they're not exactly like day-old donuts, but they were donuts that they made at the beginning of the day and they just hadn't sold.
Same day.
Yeah, same day donuts. But they're about to close and they don't want to throw them all away because that would be incredibly wasteful. So they throw them on Too Good To Go. So you reserve a spot. I try to use it maybe a few days before for a local cookie place here, but they ended up canceling my order because they didn't have any leftover cookies.
Okay.
So
that's the ultimate goal, to not have leftovers.
It's to not have leftovers.
Or to not throw stuff away.
Yes. So I reserved a spot for this donut place. I will say it was Stanley Donuts, a place I reviewed on the show, a place I've been to before, so I know that I like their donuts. Reserved a spot, showed up at around 3:45. They close at 4. And they gave me about 2 dozen donuts. It was ridiculous.
And how much was the...
I believe
it's called a surprise bag, right?
Yes, because you don't know what you're getting. You know it's donuts, but you don't know what kind of donuts. You don't really have a choice. So about those 2 dozen donuts sent me back $6.50. This one...
That's absolutely insane.
And there was no communication at all. Like, I showed up. I walked up. I go, hey, I have the Too Good To Go. And I showed her my phone. She's like, okay. And she just kind of, like, went on the thing, grabbed this big brown paper bag, and just started putting, donuts by the 4 just in this bag. I'm like, okay, she's grabbing, whatever for their employees or family. And then I'll, grab my box of 6 or whatever. And so she fills that bag with 2 dozen donuts, rolls it up, and then puts it on the counter and says, here you go.
Wowza.
So, I had a good amount of donuts from Saturday to about Tuesday.
So since you sent me that picture, and a big shout out to Eddie at Eddie's Southtown Donuts. That's where I relearned about it when we did the review of his place a couple weeks ago. He was telling me he is a participant. Mm-hmm. And so I have the app on my phone as well, and I've been doing it. And same here. There are mostly donut places. There's some bakeries. There are a couple of restaurants. And what was kind of odd to me is I get a bunch of Circle Ks. So I'm thinking like whatever's on the roller, taquitos and hot dogs and corn dogs. Yeah. I think that's probably what's in the surprise bag. So I think I'll stick with the bakeries and stuff. There's a boba tea joint, 2 boba teas for $6 almost every day. So yeah, I definitely will be doing it. And K and J Donuts, which is one of the shops I've reviewed, is also a pretty daily participant into it. I kind of try to save my donut excursions for Fridays, but that's not to say I'm not going to do a Tuesday afternoon donut run. I'm not going to do
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. So if you're donut fiends, Too Good to Go is the app to get.
Yeah, it's the food they make that day. You're not getting day old stuff. You're not getting stuff that they would have thrown away, except you got it. And they run out too. Like they'll say when you go on that app, it'll say there are 5 surprise bags left or 2 surprise. So it's not like it's you just go in and get whatever they plan it out. And so you get food made that day. And one of the restaurants here in St. Charles actually is a sandwich and pizza place. And like all the sandwiches are like $15 or $16 a piece, and the pizza's like $20. But that's part of the stuff they put in their bags, and their bags are like $7. Yeah. And you get multiple food items. So Too Good to Go.
We're not sponsored, but we should be. Yeah. Listen, hey, Too Good to Go, hit us up.
All right, so here is what I found. When you think of a crazy state in America,
Florida
comes to mind for me too. Here is 3 crazy donut joints in Florida. In Naples, Florida, they have a place called Get Caked. They're gluten-free, egg-free, nut-free, dairy-free, vegan. They don't call them donuts. They call them breakfast cakes. The part of their shop that's not free are the actual breakfast cakes themselves. They're $5.75 a piece. Ooh. They do a Hostess cupcake takeoff. They do a matcha blueberry. And the donuts are gorgeous. This is absolutely one of those frou-frou. I just had the word run out of my brain. The specialty shop. Mm-hmm. That's not the word I'm looking for either. But for almost $6 a piece, man, they better be unbelievably great donuts.
Yeah.
That's Get Caked in Naples. In Fort Myers, they have a joint called Divine Donuts. Every day they have between 45 and 80 varieties. They have 200 different flavors overall.
Oh my God.
Some of the big ones: Nutella Dream, Strawberry Banana Sundae, Creme Brulee. They have a second spot in Cape Coral where they also do shakes, and they cut up the donuts and throw the donuts in the shake.
In the shake.
So if there's not enough sugar in your life, go to Divine Donuts. Awesome. And finally, Donnie's Donuts in Daytona Beach. It's been featured on Food Network. They do a butterbeer donut, chocolate cheesecake donut, and their big sellers are combos. You can buy combos of 3 and 4 packs. A 4-pack is $13, so not outrageous.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
One of the combos is called, this is combo number 12 currently. It includes a Death by chocolate cake with 3 types of chocolate glaze, a Snickers, peanut butter, caramel, peanuts, chocolate drizzle on a cake donut, a Sea Breeze, which is salted caramel cake donut, and a banana pudding with creamy pudding, banana frosting, vanilla wafers and crumbs. And so those 4...
Oh, yeah. That sounds awesome. I fucked so hard with like banana pudding flavored stuff. Yes. Yeah, that one sounds so good.
Could you imagine if Donnie's Donuts was on Too Good to Go?
That's the thing.
I don't think they would for half price or something.
I don't think they would get on there. I can't imagine a place like that ever has donuts left over.
All right, so we are starting with the glazed donut, as always. Eric, tell us about your trip today, please.
Yes, so today I went to JR's Donuts. This is 9170 Elk Grove Florin Road in Elk Grove, California. getting out of Sacramento today. Just barely getting out of Sacramento, but made it to Elk Grove. And this glazed donut was okay. The size, I think, was really good. 4 inches across, 1.5 inches tall. This one was $1.60, which is super standard for donut. Not cheap, not expensive. That's just what they go for around here. The texture of the dough, I really, really liked. It was a good mix of being that super light and fluffy, but also not like disappearing in your mouth. You can still, feel something. It doesn't just go completely away when you take a bite. I think it was a good mix of fluffiness and denseness. The thing that I think is holding this donut back is the glaze was just not sweet enough. I think that's kind of an insane thing to say, because not so often, but usually when there's a problem with the glaze, it's because it's too sweet or it's too much. This one, it just wasn't sweet enough. I make this analogy a lot. It was like if LaCroix made a glaze. It was just like a wisp of sweetness. And I think
that's never a positive comment.
No. It's just, I don't know. It was so weird because I've honestly never had that issue with glaze before, of it being not sweet enough. So I think because of that, especially because it's a glazed donut, the only thing really going for it is the glaze, and if that's not, doing it for you, the whole donut's kind of taking a hit. So I think I want to give this like a 3.4. It wasn't bad, but I think in terms of glazed donut, I'm looking for a little more sweetness for sure.
Okay. My stop today, actually, I get to give you a little bit of background, because this donut shop today comes with history. In 1955, two brothers-in-law, Harry Winokur and Bill Rosenberg, broke off their partnership and each began his own chain of coffee and donut shops. Harry founded Mr. Donut, and Bill founded Dunkin' Donuts. Mr. Winokur began selling his donuts in Boston. They were met with great demand because of the office workers downtown. It became a retail store, 35 kinds of donuts, and also a special blend of Mr. Donut coffee, regarded by many as the world's best. At one time in America, there were over 900 Mr. Donut shop chain. It was a chain, obviously, of 900 in America. Today, there's one. And that Mr. Donut is in Godfrey, Illinois, which is right across the river from Missouri, maybe 25 minutes from St. Charles, where we are today. It is the only Mr. Donut left in America. In 1990, Dunkin' Donuts, not uncoincidentally, bought them out. So I guess we know which brother-in-law had the better success going. Now, I will tell you, in the world, there's over 10,000 Mr. Donuts. But there's only one in America, and that's where I went today.
Wow.
So, we're starting off with the glazed donut. It is 4.5 inches tall. I'm sorry, 2 inches tall.
I was gonna
2
say,
inches tall.
Holy
It's a 4.5
shit,
by 3.5 oblong. But 2 inches tall, that's still quite a hardy.
Yeah, no.
And what I like about the look of it is it's rustic. It's that no two glazed donuts look the same. Mm-hmm. You know somebody's in the back. It's not on a machine. They're doing it by hand.
Yeah.
Used to be a chain, and as a matter of fact, a even stranger side note to Mr. Donut, my wife Janet, your mom, used to work with one of the co-owners of Mr. Donut. At the time she worked with Amy, Amy was married to a gentleman named Caesar who owned Mr. Donut. So, small world after all. So, they don't actually call them glazed donuts. They call them honey dipped. So I did not get a chance to speak with Amy today, but the young lady who was helping me, I said, "Why honey dipped? Is there honey?" She's like, "Nope, we just went with the fancy name." Okay. All right.
You know what? I get that. When I worked at Rick's Dessert Diner here in Sacramento, we called just our regular cheesecake New York style cheesecake. And people would ask, like, "Oh, what makes it New York style?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. It's just plain cheesecake."
You gave it a name. Sounds cooler.
Yeah, it's better than just plain vanilla cheesecake.
So this glazed donut from Mr. Donut in Godfrey, Illinois, great glaze. I know you were left wanting a little more. The great glaze. Big, tall donut, but it's chewy. As you're chewing it, and the problem off of that is that the dough is not very flavorful. So now when you get a bite, and there's no glaze on the bottom because we know how rare that is. Mm-hmm. When you get a bite of just the cake, just the yeast dough itself to chew, it offers nothing. It's very meh. It's not a dough that disappears as you bite it. It's not that melting sort of dough. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say it was $1.25, so one of the best prices for a glazed donut.
Yeah.
People in the office would not be terribly disappointed if you brought in a dozen glazed donuts, but they also wouldn't knock their socks off. So I know you said a 3.4 for yours today, mm-hmm. and I'm saying this is like right in the middle. This is a 3.5, right in the middle of a very passable glazed donut. Not spectacular, not great, not amazing, but a 3.5 starts off the donut, the Mr. Donut review today.
Yeah.
And so where are we going next?
Our second donut is a blueberry cake donut. The one I got today was 3 inches across, and an inch tall. Also was $1.60. I'd say for a cake donut, that's a pretty good size. A lot of the times they come in like much smaller than a yeast donut. So, only shaving like an inch off across, like I'd say that's a pretty good size for a cake donut. The blueberry cake itself, I think, was pretty good. I know the last blueberry cake donut I had barely had any blueberry in it. This one,
it was a Where's Waldo blueberry cake donut.
Yes. So, I recency comparison, I'll try to block that out. But this was definitely blueberry. It had a really strong and good blueberry flavor. I will say the actual like physical blueberries in it weren't like plentiful or you could like pick them out. It wasn't like that big or that intense about it. And again, the glaze on it is just not sweet enough. It's just, especially with the sweetness of a blueberry cake, it's almost just like the glaze is just an extra texture. You almost don't even get you don't get enough glaze sweetness or flavor that it mixes with the blueberry flavor. It's just blueberry cake donut with just like a glossy texture on it.
The glazes I've made in my life generally include liquid, powdered sugar, and vanilla or milk or something else. What ingredient could you put in glaze that makes it are they using flour?
That's the thing. Like, I understand, hesitance because you don't want a glaze to be overly sweet. Because I totally get that. But you need a little more than what JR is doing. The balance isn't there yet. You've gone too far in the other direction. So I think I want to give this like a 3.7. I'd say it's a good blueberry cake. I've definitely had better blueberry cakes before, but I've definitely had worse. And yeah, I just think the glaze has to be better.
Well, I know you had talked about the size of your blueberry cake donut. Today's Mr. Donut blueberry cake donut, 3 3/4 inches around.
Wow.
1 1/4 inches tall. It may be the biggest cake donut that I've seen, that we've reviewed on this show. Here's the better part. It's $1.25. Here's the even better part. There are so many blueberries in this. This is the half I'm going to destroy after the show is over. Look at all the blueberries in that. I mean, this is very much like last week's, where it felt like a bakery donut. Like a blueberry muffin, where there's so many blueberries. The blueberry dough by itself, excellent. It's the great glaze repeated on this. Very, very blueberry. That's what you want. That's what separates this from a chocolate cake donut or a vanilla cake donut or the mystifying red velvet cake donut that's doesn't exist in Sacramento. Lots of blueberries, the dough soft and moist, and you get that little bit of crunch from the glaze that is well done. That's a 4.5 blueberry cake donut for me. Maybe absolutely one of the very best blueberry cake donuts I've had since we've been doing the show. So that's Mr. Donut. Boom! Blueberry cake donut. Knocked it out of the park.
And to get it that big, that's kind of crazy.
And you'll be able to see from the pictures how it's sort of craggly and misshapen a little bit. Again, goes back to, you can tell these are handmade. That is all the difference in the world for me. It's not a machine spitting them out perfectly. They're not glazed with a machine perfectly. And, we build the fire for mom and pops all the time. That's the perfect example.
Yeah.
That's why you should mom and pop. I hope nobody looks at it and goes, oh, Mr. Donut's a chain. No, it isn't.
Not anymore.
There's one in America. So anywhere near blueberry donut. Woo! So, Eric, what is our third donut that we're doing today?
The third donut we're grabbing is the old-fashioned donut. My old-fashioned donut was 3 3/4 inches across, an inch tall. This one was also $1.60. And this was directly in my sweet spot for old-fashioned donuts.
Ignoring the pun.
I guess. If you want to. You don't have to. No one's telling you have to ignore the pun. The thing that puts an old-fashioned over the edge for me, from good to great, is its texture. Sometimes with an old-fashioned, they can come out maybe crispy or crunchy, which I don't really love. I don't love, crunching down on a donut. It's just not my thing. That's why
This is where you and I differ a little bit. I like the differentiation of the soft dough and the crunchy. I do enjoy that dichotomy.
I like when it's all a consistent texture, the whole thing.
Okay.
But I have a
like
weird
a cake
thing.
Donut.
Yes. I have a weird thing about texture, though. That's just how I am with every single food I've ever eaten my entire life. It's not just donuts. Texture with everything is where I go wrong usually. And so that's what I really loved about this donut is it was still soft enough that it wasn't, it had the crown and it kept its shape and everything. And it was, definitely not as soft as just, a regular cake donut, but it wasn't crispy either. I think it's it's a really, for me, like threading that needle of texture sets an old fashioned over the bar for me. Also, the cake flavor on this was awesome. It was so clearly a vanilla cake flavor, which, vanilla is kind of a plain flavor. They're kind of synonyms at some point, vanilla and plain. So to have a vanilla cake be this strong with its vanilla flavor, I think is a super, super good thing. Again, the glaze, just not sweet enough, unfortunately. Whatever they're doing over there at JR's, they got to tweak it. They have to make that glaze.
You know what they're not
sweeter.
doing? They're not taste testing their glaze.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Maybe it's a recipe from 3 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, don't fix it if it ain't broken."
Yeah,
and nobody realizes.
No one told them it was broke.
Yeah.
So, I want to say I think I'll give this Old Fashioned a 4.1. I think the it's so close to being really, really excellent. I think the glaze, if you get that glaze right, you are easily 4.5 or higher. But as where it stands right now, I think a 4.1 Old Fashioned.
Okay, all right. And as regular followers of our podcast know, for me, the Old Fashioned is my secret jonesing donut. Really set the bar high for that Old Fashioned donut. So it's got to be really excellent. So the Mr. Donut Old Fashioned, it's 4.5 inches by 3.5 inches oblong.
Wow.
It's a pretty big.
Yeah, that's big.
And it's 1.25 inches tall. So that is a really big Old Fashioned. Again, $1.25.
Wow.
I mean, that price is really helping the scores here.
Yeah.
Super reasonable for a really good donut.
If the microphone picks up that stupid fucking bird clock, I'm going to lose my mind. That sucks so bad.
We do have a bird clock.
My God.
The dough is excellent. You had talked about what a great dough just by itself with no donut, no glaze. By itself, excellent dough. I'm also getting that vanilla, soft, moist, cakey. The great glaze that they've been putting on everything so far today on this. My sort of personal pet peeve, it's not crispy enough. I think you would enjoy the hell out of this consistency, but I really want to crunch. I really want to. If you went in, bought a dozen of these, your coworkers would be happy as hell with you. This is a 4.2, and it's still an excellent old-fashioned. You want to get 4.5? Crisp it up for me. That's just my personal go-to. And so really excellent blueberry cake, really, really good old-fashioned. The glazed, decent buy-in for me for Mr. Donut today.
I will also say about JR's Donuts, they had a ton of variety. This was definitely maybe top 5, maybe even top 3 for most variety of a shop I've been to for this show. There was so much. And the best part about all that variety is chocolate cake donuts are not huge out here. I love a chocolate cake donut, but usually a lot of shops don't really offer them, and if they do, it'll be maybe like chocolate with chocolate icing, chocolate with chocolate icing, and like peanuts on it, and that's kind of it. But they had a full rack of chocolate cake donuts. There was chocolate with chocolate icing, there was chocolate with vanilla icing, there was chocolate with chocolate and vanilla icing on it. The variety at JR's Donuts was awesome. And they also, since today's Valentine's Day, they did have heart-shaped donuts. So I did pick one of those up.
Okay. So this is my list of the donut flavors at Mr. Donut.
Oh my God.
So they have quite the variety going on. And I did ask, They sold out of their chocolate cake with vanilla icing and their chocolate cake with chocolate icing. Sold out. They open at 4 in the morning, and I was there at 8 in the morning, and they were sold out. They were in the back making them, but it was one of those spots where you had to wait to go in, because as soon as you walked in the door, you were at the end of the line, and the door was open, and it's cold.
Oh, yeah.
So I completely get why they were sold out. And they did not have time to finish making more donuts because 3 workers were waiting on people ordering donuts. I would say of the 7 or 8 people who walked out before I made my way up near the front, every one of them had at least 1 box, and many of them had 2 boxes.
Damn.
So when you're selling them that rapidly,
Yeah.
I get how you sell out and you're not able to replenish.
That's really not a thing I've seen much of here in Sacramento. I can't remember the last time I've seen someone walk out with more than 1 box. And honestly, 1 box is kind of crazy. A lot of times I see people walk out with like a bag. You know, the people in front of me or people behind me in line, they'll order 2 or 3 donuts and then they'll be gone. So
I'm in my whole time, maybe 15 minutes from trying to find a parking spot
yeah.
to getting back in my car and waiting for the cars to move so I could get out. And this is probably, there's 20, 25 parking spaces. It's not a tiny little lot at all. That's how crowded they were.
Wow.
And of my entire time, I maybe saw 2 people with bags. Maybe 2. I mean, it is a grab. There's a lot of happy coworkers in offices today. I don't think it's a holiday for kids to be off school.
I don't think so.
So I don't think they're taking them home to the kids.
No.
But selling them by the bucketful at Mr. Donut in Godfrey, Illinois. And for good reason. So it brings us to the end of our show. And I have a couple of trivia questions for you. We have talked about how Canadians eat more donuts per capita than the U.S., which is shocking to believe. But,
Timmy's.
they have way fewer people and a ton of Tim Hortons everywhere. So, okay. In America, Eric, name any of the top 3 states who eat the most donuts per capita.
Per capita.
So, per person. So, like, California probably eats a ton of donuts, but they also have a lot of people.
A lot of people.
So, I'm giving you that hint that California is not one of the top 5.
Okay.
Name any of the top 3 in America per capita eating the most donuts.
Well, the first thing my head goes to is New York.
Nope.
Really?
Too many people.
Damn it. Okay. So now I want to go, because Canada eats a lot of donuts, and this state's very close to Canada. I want to say Minnesota.
No.
Damn it.
Not in the top 5.
Not in the top 5?
Think about number of people. That might help you.
Yes. So first, I have to know the number of people in a state. I have to have some sort of
states
idea of
do you think have fewer people?
Rhode Island.
They don't have enough people.
I went too far. Like Wyoming?
Number 1. Wyoming is number 1.
Fuck yeah.
They have the appropriate number of not many people, and they do their damnedest to eat a lot of donuts.
Hell yeah, Wyoming.
Yay, hey, Wyoming.
I can't even think of a single city in Wyoming. I don't even know. What's their state capital? I don't know.
The capital of Wyoming?
Wyoming City. I don't know.
Oh, you throw me a curve.
Wyoming. What's a town?
I'm trying to think of where the Wyoming football team plays.
I didn't think there was a Wyoming football team.
Oh, yeah, University of Wyoming. It's They have one Division I school there, and it's the University of Wyoming.
Okay.
The Wyoming Cowboys.
We've said Wyoming too much, and now it means nothing to me.
Yeah.
That word, that doesn't even register anything to me. Wyoming, that's not a real word. That's just sounds that we've made up.
Number 2 on the list, North Dakota. Again, not many people, but doing a good job eating their donuts. Number 3, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Nicely done,
Good for
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Missouri, number 4.
Nice.
Utah, number 5. So the states out west with not many people, but man, when it's time to eat,
They get
the
down.
donut. All right, my final trivia question for you. There is only one Mr. Donuts in America. So now there are 10,000 in the world. Okay? They're the number 3 chain in the world. Where are their headquarters? What country is the Mr. Donuts headquarters? Here's a hint. I don't know if it'll help at all. In this country, they have 970 Mr. Donuts.
Yep. So that didn't help at all, like you thought. Here's the thing. I don't know if this is because you're bringing up Mr. Donut, but while looking at donut news every week, I feel like, I don't know if this is like having like a Mandela effect on me, but I've seen Mr. Donut in news segments, but they're talking about what they're doing over in Japan. Maybe it's a different, because I've seen, at least I remember a few of some Japan chain who do like Pokemon themed donuts or whatever. So is that Mr. Donut? Is it Japan?
It is Japan. Well done.
Fuck yeah.
So it stuck.
Yes.
A little nugget stuck in your synapses up there.
Yeah, because I remember, I it could be last week, it could have been 3 months ago. I don't remember when I saw this story, but they like did like a little like Pikachu donut. It's like, that's cute as hell.
Yeah, and I did read, it's not the mustachioed Mr. Donut in all the countries. They kind of take their own vibe off of it. Lion is the symbol in Japan for Mr. Donut. So it's not one size fits all, which is great.
Yeah,
but,
that's good.
You know, it's a chain, but it ain't a chain here. The most populous cities in Wyoming. Cheyenne,
Nope.
Wyoming.
Don't know that
65,000 people. Casper, Wyoming, 58,000.
Something happened in Casper. I feel like, yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking of
Gillette, Wyoming, 33,000. Laramie, Wyoming, 32,000. And Rock Springs, number 5, with 22,000.
Yep. I wouldn't have guessed any of those cities ever.
Cheyenne is the capital.
Good for them.
65,000 people.
That's your capital. That's crazy.
Tiny as all get out.
That's crazy.
There are probably apartment complexes in California with 65,000.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, so number 24 is in the books. We had some good donuts today.
Yeah.
And so we need people to give us a little direction. Eric, how can they do that on future shows?
If you are listening on Apple Podcasts right now, you can rate and review the show. And in your review, tell us where to go. Tell us what to do. Tell us what not to do. Tell us what to get, what not to get. That whole thing. We'll see it all. And doing that puts us more in the podcast algorithm, so it gets even more eyes on us. So, rate and review on Apple Podcasts. If you're on YouTube, liking the video and subscribing, commenting, same kind of stuff you would write in a review. And again, it just puts us in that YouTube algorithm, gets us more eyes, gets us more feedback, all that good stuff. And just wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, just sharing it on any social media you have, or just sharing it in person. Maybe you're, listening to a podcast with some coworkers, and you're like, "Hey, I got one. We can throw on an episode of Midwest Donuts."
That's great. And I don't know if we've made it very clear. Our brand new work shirt. This is from our friends Amy and Matt, who took the design right off of our site and flipped it onto a shirt, and now we're corporate.
We've become the thing that we hate the most.
You did not get the memo about wearing corporate today.
No. It's Casual Friday.
And the other part is, if you and I show up wearing the same shirt, one of us is changing for the show.
Yes.
We're not doing that.
Yes.
We're not.
And it'll always be me changing, because if I end up wearing the same thing as you, I know I've done something wrong.
Oh. Heartbreaking. Okay, so that ends show number 24, the Midwest Donut Review. I'm Dave Leggett at St. Louis, Missouri. That's my son, Eric Leggett, in Sacramento, California. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with another show real soon. Thank you, everybody.
Goodbye.